May 25th, 1977 saw the release of George Lucas's Star Wars, which quickly became a surprise blockbuster hit. Often regarded as one of the greatest and most influential movies ever made, it helped change the way movies were made and captured the imagination of a generation. Star Wars quickly became a pop culture phenomenon. Over the course of this series, I will be joined by a number of Star Wars fans from across YouTube and the toy collecting community, as we take a look back at their earliest memories of Star Wars and find out what made Star Wars great. Hello Toy Collector fans, Universal Toy Collector here, and welcome to the channel. And welcome to episode 7 of What Made Star Wars Great, the series where I invite guests on from the YouTube and the toy collecting communities to discuss their earliest memories of Star Wars and to basically find out what made Star Wars great. And we've had some great guests so far on this series, and tonight is no exception. We have got Mr. Keith Guppy himself. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hi, Stu. It's an absolute privilege to be on. Thanks for inviting me on, mate.
No. Thank you for accepting the invite. I mean, I think this is the first time properly me and you have managed to have a one-to-one conversation. So awesome stuff. So, look, listen, Keith, the reason I'm doing this is because there has been a lot of negativity around Star Wars. Now, this being like episode 7 of this series, a lot of people have already heard my sort of like thoughts and opinions on the negative side of Star Wars. I just want yours briefly. Do you feel that the negative side that's been surrounding Star Wars is just?
No, I'm quite a positive chap, and I am absolutely excited and privileged that we see any Star Wars output. If I'm honest with you, we went through so many years where we saw nothing, and I'm such a fan that I'm happy to see anything. And I know that's going to be a little bit challenging for a few people to understand that, but I'm very positive, and the more the better for me. So yeah, that's not what you might want to hear. But
No,
pretty positive.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, look, listen, it's everybody's opinion is valid. So, you know, it doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it wrong. It's just an opinion. But I would just put my view forward quickly. Right, you say you're happy with any Star Wars, even at the cost of a good story and good acting.
Almost, yeah. I just know how many years I went without seeing any Star Wars, and I was desperate to see something. You know, I was collecting all the way through, and I was just desperate, and so I'm just really happy to see anything. Now, I'm not saying that some of it's not a little bit rubbish, but there's always bits that I love and always bits I want to see. You know, even the Acolyte, you know, we saw Darth Plagueis, and that was just like, wow moment for me. They could have made so much more of it, as they always could. I'm disappointed that they couldn't make more of it, if I'm honest, but I'm always delighted to see something, you know? And that's why I'm always like, anything's quite good. So yeah, that's kind of where I sit.
Okay, fair enough. I will go back onto a word that you just mentioned, and you said disappointed. I like that. I like that a lot, because I'm in the same boat as you. I'm disappointed with some of the Star Wars stuff. I don't hate on Star Wars. I don't hate on Disney Star Wars. They've done some great stuff. Rogue One, for example, you know, season 7 of the Clone Wars, the Bad Batch, the Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2. And so that, you know, and Andor's as well. So there are elements of some really great storytelling and some great Star Wars that have come out of Disney. But I think, again, it has been mentioned before, the bar has been set so high by the original trilogy. And I know some people might not think that, but the generation that I'm talking about, which is our generation that grew up with Star Wars, I think we just want our Star Wars to be like that all the time, with a great story, just adventure, you know, and keeping to Star Wars lore. And I think the frustration is disappointment that it's not always like that, because we want it to be as good as it can be.
Yeah. I mean, I watched Empire Strikes Back on Saturday in the cinema.
Yeah.
Now, I know we'll come to later on about how I got into Star Wars and what, you know, my childhood memories, but that was the first time I watched Empire Strikes Back in the cinema, and I watched it, and you know, to compare that with the Star Wars content now was chalk and cheese. You know, it had everything. You know, it's got a bit of romance going on.
Yeah,
it's got the battles, it's got the action, it's got all you want. It's got Darth Vader killing people and on screen, you know, and it's like, yeah, when you look at that and then you look at the Acolyte or anything recently, and then you go, yeah, right. But I'm still always delighted to see anything. I'm just
Is it
hungry
with
for it.
with you? Are you hungry for it for the simple fact that you can add more figures to your collection? Because you know we will get to your collection in a bit. I mean, you've got a superb collection. It's a big old collection there. So is that what it is? Because the way I see it, and what I've said before as well, is no one wants to see Star Wars fail, because if it does, then everybody loses out. You know,
Mm.
you Hasbro will be, you know, less inclined to make action figures, which means the collectors will miss out and stuff like that because people aren't going to be buying them. I mean, you know, you've got a huge collection there,
Yeah,
so
yeah. Well, it's a weird feeling for me because it's like, you know, it's like, oh, more content. Oh shit, I got to spend some more money, and I'm never going to bloody put it in this room. I mean, this room's big enough now, but it's pretty full. So I always have mixed feelings on it, but
yeah,
I just, you know, it's always the matter of what's around the corner. How can you link the next episode, next film into something you watched 30, 40 years ago? You know,
yeah,
what's going to be around the corner? And when they link something up, you go, oh my God, this is brilliant. You've just linked into something that as a child, I was like, bang on. And so you never know what's around the corner. So, you know, I would never dish it because there's always that hope. It's a new
yeah,
hope. You know, there's always
yeah,
that, always that little, what's around the corner? What could be coming that I might think, brilliant, you know? And you might have, you know, 100 minutes of crap, and then that 10 minutes of, oh my God, he's in it or she's in it, bang, you know, and that's what you hope for. And that's why I love it, you know. And
mm,
yeah, it's always for me, it's like, oh God, what else I got to get and what I got to collect and stuff like that. But you know, but it's not really, it's more about my kiddie, you know, my childhood links and what might
yeah.
come around the corner.
Well, let's get on to that. What were your earliest memories of Star Wars?
Quite a few early memories actually, Stu. Wow, yeah. I mean, my first memories are probably the Christmases getting the toys, but I'll just cut back from that. So I must have at one point said to my parents, "Give me Star Wars."
Yeah,
Okay. Now in our town, little old town of Yeovil in Somerset, we had a Tesco's and we had a place called Key Markets. For those who don't know, Key Markets was another sort of uh, chain of stores that did groceries and stuff like that, and they're right
yeah,
next to each other. And my dad, being a bit of a tight old man, he would go, I'm going Key Markets because it's cheaper in Tesco's. So my parents would go, okay, Keith, off you trot. And I was probably, this is probably 82. So I would have been about 9. And they would let me go next door and just go and look at Star Wars. So I would go to Star Wars in Tesco's. And it was, for me, it was vast. And I wish I took a picture of it. You know, this vast shelf of Star Wars. And the other side would be He-Man. Nah, not doing that. It'll be the Star Wars. So I would go in there, and obviously I was into collecting it at that point. So I must have probably had one Christmas where I had quite a bit. And, you know, I was quite a naughty little bugger. And I would go and get the packets, and I would move the bubble until the gun would drop out. And I would sort of stand on the gun. This is at 9. I was a bloody shoplifter even then. And then I would pick up the gun, and that would be it, go in my pocket. Great. So that just shows how delicate the bubbles were on that point.
yeah,
But so that was probably my first memories. Then we went on to, so I watched Return of the Jedi in the
yep,
cinema. That was the first film I watched. Like a lot of the people that come on here about my
yep,
age group. Empire Strikes Back, I missed. But I remember waiting for Empire Strikes Back to come out on video. And there was a big video store in Yeovil called Rainbow Video. And there was a big standee of a Tauntaun, a life size with Luke on a
oh
Tauntaun.
wow, yeah,
Yeah, it was cool. You walked in and you had to, those days, they had probably had about 10. You had to book it. So even when it came out, you had to wait to your turn to watch Empire Strikes Back. And the only
wow,
person in my family who had a VHS recorder was my nan.
yeah,
And because my dad was tight, so he probably didn't get one. But my nan had one. So I remember the day, and I just went around there and I was like, oh my God, this is absolutely amazing. And as a kid, I was always into toy soldiers and fights
yeah,
and battles. So Empire Strikes Back was like, there's a big battle. you know,
Yeah.
and that was fantastic. And then through my early Star Wars collecting, all I did was troop build. So I'd have
Okay.
20 Hoth troopers, 20 rebel troopers. I could never work out why the Imperial attack base was full of stormtroopers and not rebel troopers, because
Yeah.
you know in the film the stormtroopers are attacking the Imperial attack base. So why didn't the soldiers have the base? So, but I would just get an AT-AT. I had an AT-AT for Christmas, and I would just go, right, I'm copying what's on there. I'm copying the Imperial attack base, and I would just troop build. And I had in the attic, I had a polystyrene. My dad worked in a packaging place where you get polystyrene, so I made a polystyrene big block, cut
Yeah.
it out, put a snow speeder in there, an X-wing in there, and then I had the attacking that, and then about a meter back, they gave me most of the attic, my parents, and then I had an Endor battle. So
Oh
I had
wow.
an old mini Christmas tree, which I laid down on the floor, and I had all the Ewoks with an Ewok catapult on the truss of the roof. I put a little platform. I had an Ewok on there, tied to some string, so we could rock down like Tarzan.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then I obviously had loads of stormtroopers, ATSTs, all of that in the battle. And that was, you know, that was great. And then as you know, I've heard Shabby Geek say, as you know, you get older and you get into girls and cars and stuff.
Mm.
And I remember, I must have been probably about 15. I was in Key Markets again, that store. And in those days, if anyone wanted anything, they put a little card, pin a card to the wall as you
Yeah.
went in. And some guy said, wanted Star Wars. Good prices paid or something. So as a teenager, I went, yeah, great. You know, well, I'm going to get some money out of this. And I remember getting hold of the guy, ringing the guy up. And he came over, and I was probably 13, 14, 15. And all I wanted was some dosh. And I remember him saying, yeah, the going rate for a Star Wars, for a stormtrooper, is £1. And the going rate for a speeder bike, and I had about 5 speeder bikes as well for the Endor scene, was like
Wow.
£3. And I remember I sold a lot to him. And it
Wow.
keeps you awake now. And this guy, he knew what he was doing. He was a 30 or 40-year-old bloke, and he knew what he was doing, right?
Yeah,
And
of
he
course you did.
knew
Yeah.
even then, you know. And that was it. That was it. And now when I go in my mum's attic for looking after, because I got there quite a lot looking for old Transformers or Lego or anything like that. On the floor is all mapped out where I've drawn like little roads for the Ewoks and Endor and all that, and that's
Yeah.
still there now. And yeah, so I've got loads of early memories, mate. And the Christmas Day was always a big one as well. You know, I've got
Yeah.
photographs of getting Slave One, the snow speeder, the AT-AT. I've got, you know, pictures of ripped open cards, which
Wow.
do your head in, don't they, mate? And you know, so I'm lucky enough to have loads of memories. And my dad, he took me to Return of the Jedi, and you know, I mentioned that a lot. And the cinema in Yeovil's still there. It's a furniture store now, but
Yeah.
it's still there. And you know, when you go in Yeovil shopping, you park next to the cinema quite often. And even now, I just look at that, and all I can remember is watching Return of the Jedi. So,
But take me through
you know,
that experience of that day when you went to go and see Return of the Jedi, because you said, you know, most of us our age was Return of the Jedi was the first film that we actually saw at the theaters. So what was that
yeah.
experience like for you when, you know, the screen went up and the Star Wars come on and the tune kicked in and all that sort of stuff? And
Well, I mean, amazing, mate, amazing. And I mean, the first scene where you see the shuttle, you know,
yeah,
and it's like it's just amazing. I mean, it's a really retro cinema, so it brings back many memories. And you know, go with my dad, and he, you know, no, my dad, he doesn't do a lot of stuff like that, you know, but taking me there, the queue, a massive queue right down the road.
yeah,
You don't see that anymore, do you, in these multiplexes?
no,
Um,
no,
but what a great film though, you know. And people said the door got up on Jabba's throne room, the speeder bike chase,
yeah, yeah,
you know, and again another big battle. And I was just troop building all the time, like, oh, gotta get stormtroopers, gotta get Ewoks. I would change over the hats of all the Ewoks, so you didn't have Lou Gray and Wicket and Chief Chirper. You had 9 or 10 different versions of them because you swapped over all the hats.
Wow. Yeah.
But yeah, amazing times, mate. And I'm lucky enough. My late nan gave me the Ewok village one Christmas, and bit of a funny story behind that because my nan used to put all the presents at Christmas in a room, and as a
Yeah.
little naughty little kid again, I would go up there and you could rip open a little bit of the wrapping paper, and you'd see what it was, and I knew what it was for a few weeks before I had it, but I've still got it right over there, and
Wow.
it's one of my prized possessions, for my late nan, and having the Ewok village. So yeah, Return of Jedi, great. But I was always miffed at Christmas Day. Christmas Day, they always had A New Hope, Star Wars on
Yeah.
for years, and I would shout at the telly every year. You get the Radio Times out,
Yeah.
and you go, Star Wars, why aren't you playing Empire Strikes Back? Why aren't you playing Return of the Bloody Jedi? It was always
True.
Star Wars, and that would do
I
my
remember
nutting.
that. I remember that. I mean, the thing is, that for me was Christmas. Christmas wouldn't be Christmas without Star Wars, and I don't know why, even though I'd seen it a lot, loads of times and stuff like that, it was just still made me smile and happy to see Star Wars on the telly. But I don't know if it was the same happened with you, but with me, I got my, I think it was 1980, I got my first Star Wars toys for Christmas. It was the Luke's X-Wing and Darth Vader's TIE Fighter. And I hadn't seen Star Wars yet because I was too young to go and sit at the pictures.
Yeah.
So I didn't really, like see Star Wars, and I would have been, how old would I? 6 years old. Wow. So, but I can remember seeing Star Wars over Christmas for the first time, and then seeing those like S-foils on the X-wings like pop up and stuff like that when they're attacking the Death Star. I was just like, this is insane, and it gave me that much more of an appreciation for my toys.
Yeah.
I mean, was that the same with you?
Yeah, well, it's with toys. It was weird because, and I've heard other people on the being interviewed by you say the same. Is that you're in such a bubble. You've got no internet. It's wherever your mum and dad do a bit of shopping to. That is the only Star Wars stuff you see. So Tesco's would have its own stuff. Walmart or in America or whatever it might be have different. So I remember. I take the AT-AT down the street in the village, walking around like a little bit of a dog, walking around. I used to go around with a mate, just 200 yards around a corner in the little village we live in. And he'd have a dark grey X-Wing with lights and with sound on it, with a dark cockpit visor, whatever.
Yeah.
And I go, what's going on here? Mine's white and mine does nothing. And it's like, oh my God, where have you got this from? This is a different version, and it was obviously the American version, but it's like that was amazing, and and you then suddenly go, oh, you got Millennium Falcon. They don't sell them in Tesco's, shit, and that was always nuts to me. Is you didn't have a clue what was out there. So I go back to Empire Strikes Back and having battles and stuff. I never knew that the turrets, with the droid, I didn't even know that little set existed, but that would have been, oh my God, I got some of that, my battle scene. I never knew existed till years later.
Wow.
But but it was absolutely bloody great times.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly, Star Wars has certainly impacted our generation for sure, especially when it comes to the merchandise and the toys. And I mean, you have gone like balls deep into it. You really haven't you? I mean, you have got a hell of a lot. I mean, so where did that where did you get the idea to just collect as much as you could of it? I mean,
I don't know. I don't know really. I mean, I went quiet for those dark years, the dark years they call it.
Yeah.
And then I started collecting again in about 1995, obviously when the Power of the Force stuff come out. And I was like, oh my God, this is brilliant. I've got to get everything. And I remember traveling around the country trying to get different versions of Princess Leia because I thought they were rare. I mean, they're like £5, £6 now. And they're like, where I went for those is unbelievable, really. But yeah, and I remember 2 houses back and probably a marriage back, I had a room and I was collecting some all the new modern figures, and I had the whole set of the vintage, and I got photographs of it, and then didn't collect anything for a couple of years for personal circumstances, and then luckily moved into this house, and I put the collections in storage for probably a year. And then I was looking for a house where I could start a bit of a collection off. And luckily, we were in a 3-story building, and the wife's pretty damn good, if I'm honest. She moans like that, from time to time, as they do. But overall, she's pretty damn good. And this was ground floor was a contractor's office where they built some apartments next door. The middle and top floor were a 3-bedroom apartment. Most of our kids have gone now, so I've extended. So I'm lucky enough to have a pretty decent space. And I was just looking. I was looking at Martin's and Long and Long's video tonight about how much space you need to show the TVC line, and they flippantly said 30 foot of wall space. I've got that now, and you can see they're what 1, 2, 3, 6 deep, 5 deep. I said no, 100 foot of wall space you need.
I mean, that's a lot of figures. That's a lot of figures.
This alcove in here is 30 foot long. If you
wow.
meterage, this is one little part, and this is my latest sort of extension because my oldest boy, bless him, is moved on. So I just said to Martin tonight, I said, nah, it's 100 square foot. And I've talked about it for a little while. I'd like to have a little museum if I could, and just have every single figure on display, because that'd be superb. All the pictures you see on the internet, they're all 3 or 4 or 5 deep. But I'm at the point now, and my philosophy is, and I know I'm not knocking anybody who's not that philosophy, but if you can't show it, then what's the point? That's mine. And some people they can't, and I totally get that, and I'm very fortuitous that I could do this, and I'm very grateful. But I don't know, but if I couldn't, I wouldn't bother probably.
That is a valid point. I mean, a lot of people have said to me, because I've got tubs of just figures and cupboards full of figures and stuff like that, and so although I can't show all of the collection that I'd like to show, I sort of like rotate it and stuff like that.
That's great.
But I mean, did you ever think that you would be where you're at now with your collection? I mean, when you first started collecting, did you ever see yourself having the collection that you have? Or was it something that you strived for, something that you wanted to?
No, it's just crept up on me, Stu, really, if I'm honest. It's, you got to remember, I was collecting quite hard before there was any films out. And especially when they produced the last 3, there was a massive lull, and so I was hammering it quite hard, getting everything, with no idea they were going to produce another 3 films. And that always helps, because that gives everything a bit of a kick in terms of value and stuff. And so I was just doing it, and I kind of got bigger because I did a few promotions I've done a bit with Argos, I've done something with View Cinema, stuff comes along, and that's cool, because that just helps you just fund the collection a bit more, and you never know what's around the corner, with opportunities and stuff. So no, I never dreamed it'd be this big. I'm maxed out again. There's nowhere else to go. So F knows what I'm going to do now, mate.
Well, to be fair, I'm glad I'm not the only one struggling with space, and you've got a far bigger collection than what I've got.
I hear it all the time, Stu. You hear, people, everybody in their own ways got that space issue. And sometimes I think, right, should I just, what I do, get rid of everything, and I'll have 6 or 7 pieces that are really displayed, really nice, on a nice pedestal, a nice glass cabinet, and that'll be it. And I'm like, oh no, I can't do it, and so I don't know, mate. And before COVID, I was actually going to buy believe it or not, I was going to buy a double-decker bus, and it was going to be a historic journey as you walk around a bus to the first Star Wars figures to the oldest Star Wars figures. As you walk around, and but COVID hit, and I was thinking, what do I do? Do I charge people for going on a bus? Do I charge a fee to go to an exhibition center? And then COVID hit, and I thought, nah, I'm not doing it. And so that was a little idea I had, but that's been part for now. Excuse the pun.
Well, hopefully at some point in the future that idea will like bear fruit and stuff like that, and you can do something like that. So after Return of the Jedi, then, and like you say, we had the Dark Years where there was no Star Wars. Then there were rumors that George Lucas was going to do episodes 1, 2, and 3, what was going through your mind then? How was you feeling about that? Were you excited
Oh,
about it?
I was absolutely bloody over the moon. I was like, oh my god, this is brilliant. And I saw the first trailer of Phantom Menace in Hamleys. So
Oh wow.
Hamley, you went upstairs in Hamleys, and they had it on a big screen right above the toy. Not there was no Phantom Menace toys then, but they had the, you know, it said oh, was it CO Bubble said, oh, it's invasion and or something like that, and you just saw the AATs come over the hill
Yeah.
in the battle, and I watched that. I went to London and just happened to go to Hamleys, and I was like, absolutely, I can't wait for this. This is amazing. And I went to cinema probably 5 times to watch that, and I couldn't wait. And of course, I was already, as you said, balls deep into Star Wars, and I was like, this is amazing. I've got this big collection, and they're doing more films.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was I couldn't wait. And do you know what? I watched Empire Strikes Back the other day at the cinema. I watched The Phantom Menace about 6 weeks ago. I actually thought it was hilarious. I liked it, but I thought it was very funny as well. And I thought, should I be laughing so hard at this? And some of Jar Jar stuff, you know, Weezer going for a munching and all of that stuff. I mean, the wife was laughing out loud in the cinema.
I mean, it does come across as quite corny, doesn't it? I guess some of the dialogue, but this is what I said. This is what I've been saying all along. Star Wars was that cheesy space western where it was like the Saturday matinee kind of like not Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon type serial type sort of thing that George Lucas wanted to put across, and I think he did that very well. And don't forget, you got to look at the time. The original Star Wars was sort of like made. It was in like 77, then it came out in 80, then 83. So, you know, that style of film or the way the actors were back then suited that era of like movies.
Yeah.
Then you come into the 90s where a lot has changed in that time. You know, the way films have changed because of Jurassic Park with the CGI. But he still wanted that cheesy kind of dialogue, which for that time in the 90s probably didn't suit that time, and it looked pretty cheesy. Do you know what I mean? And look, George Lucas wasn't a great director, not by any chalk or stretch of the imagination, but he was a great storyteller, and he could get his story across quite well. And so, yeah, I loved. Well, I didn't love The Phantom Menace. I thought it was okay. It wasn't Star Wars at the time. It took a bit of getting used to because it was new.
Do you think it's aged okay, Stu?
Oh, do you know what? I think it has. I think it has. It's still Jar Jar still winds me up. I've watched the films and stuff, and we've been watching with Georgie, and she said, "Oh, every time Jar Jar comes on, you groan." And I said, "Yeah, I know." And every time he comes, I was like, "Oh." But what sold it for me, you know, I wasn't too much into the politics of Star Wars. You know, then I just wanted to see like lightsaber duels and lots of action and that cool stuff. So I thought that the political side of things was quite boring. But then when you assess it and then get deeper into it, you think it's really cleverly written. It's really clever how Palpatine's manipulated everybody into where he wants them to be, so he can like rule the galaxy, sort of thing, as you know. And so yeah, I've got a massive appreciation for that now. The lightsaber duel when Darth Maul comes out with that double-bladed lightsaber. I mean, for the love of God, that was a massive wow moment, wasn't it? That was just insane.
Absolutely, and the music to that was amazing.
Yeah,
and even now I could watch that all day long. Amazing.
But again, that took some getting used to, that music, because it was nothing we've never heard before from the original. You know what I mean? John Williams' Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Jedi are just timeless classics when it comes to the soundtrack. So to hear
the Fates is great.
Yeah. But there was that, and then there was the Attack of the Clones, which for me wasn't the greatest of the 3 movies, but it still told a story.
Yeah, and then you had the Revenge of the Sith, where you had that start where they're in the Jedi fighters, and that roller coaster moment where they just dip into the battle. And that was a great start of a film.
Because they're flying along that Star Destroyer, aren't they, or that Republic starship?
Yeah,
and then like you said, it goes over the top and then down, and it's just this massive battle going on. You just think, wow. I mean, that was just insane. But again, there was moments in that I thought were quite cheesy-ish, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, all the modern Star Wars, they've all missed opportunity. You know, with some of these
Yeah.
key characters, they've missed
Yeah.
massive opportunities. And you go Captain Phasma, and you know, you could go on and on and on about the missed opportunities. Snook was another one. You
Yeah.
know, and they're just so short-sighted, and these characters needed so much more development, and that's where I think they let us down. And
What would you put that down to? What would you put that down to?
I don't know what, naivety, stupidity. I don't know. I mean, just not understanding the market, the audience they're talking to. I mean, Snook was like, they built him up the first episode. You saw a giant
Yeah.
hologram of them, and then you're going, "Oh, this is going to be amazing," you know.
Yeah.
And then one scene later, he's chopped in half. He's gone. Like, what the hell's that
Yeah.
about? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It was just a bit easy, and it just, then the Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, I love the fact the Emperor come back, but how they destroyed
Do you
all
think
those.
they should have led with that?
Should have what? Sorry.
Do you think they should have led with that from the Force Awakens? Because look, listen.
What, you what do you mean? Well, it's like a hinting that the Emperor's back. You mean?
Well, yeah, because all the way through the Clone Wars, they were talking about all like the prequel trilogy. It was all about the clones, wasn't it? So you would have thought that the Emperor would have sort of like cloned himself at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a bit disjointed. They didn't. There was no pre-warning that he was coming back. There was nothing at all. There was no little shots or anything.
I think Poe had the best line. Somehow he's returned. It's like, oh, okay, brilliant. There's that's great. Yeah, it's a deep dive there.
Oh
but,
God, yeah. It's an opportunity missed.
Yeah.
But I still can't say I didn't love it. I just, I'm like, even the bloody horses running around on the Star Destroyers and all that. Yeah, exactly. And then where's the Sith Troopers come from? They suddenly got red Sith Troopers. I mean,
again, they look great. Visually they look fantastic. But what did they do?
Yeah, I know, mate. I know. But I was just glad to see it. Glad to see it. I wasn't glad to see it stop. I'm always just want to see more content coming out.
I think what I enjoyed about the prequels and the sequels was the hype, the excitement that was surrounding it. Because when you go to like a Toys R Us or something like that, and the film's dropped, and they've got this massive
Midnight Madness,
Midnight Madness, whatever it is, and all the toys are there and everything, and everybody's like buying stuff and what have you. I gotta say, I do miss those. I do miss those days. I just think they're absolutely brilliant. They really are.
Unfortunately, I just think those days are gone. I mean, I just, I don't know whether they're going to do any films. I've heard a few rumors that the films have been cancelled again with Rey in it. I don't know. I really don't know, but I'll be sad if they are, because hopefully they've learned some lessons.
Well, that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. No one wins if Star Wars fails. They really don't, because like you say, films are getting cancelled. But for me, they need to get the right people in, people who understand Star Wars, people who care about Star Wars, that are passionate about it, that understand the Star Wars lore, and they've understand what's been written before, so they can. I mean, look, George. Again, I keep saying it. He wasn't perfect, because I think what he did with episodes 4, 5, and 6, I think was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. But then you go back to the prequels, and there was little bits where you think, well, that doesn't quite, sort of like match up with what was said in the original trilogy.
But I know.
But I mean, what was it about Star Wars for you then that really stood out?
I just think it was a grandeur at the scale of it, and it was just like, for me, I just wanted to see armies fighting, and I want to see space battles, and but it's got, I've said this before in other videos. It had everything. It's got romance, it's got action, it's got the baddie, the goodies, but then it's got big battles, and I just loved all that. You know what I mean? It's just give me a big battle, and I'm there, and I just used to collect toy soldiers and all of that, and I didn't have a note on the figures. I just had 20 stormtroopers of one kind, 20 of the other kind, many Ewoks as I get, load of rebel commanders, rebel soldiers, and that was it. I didn't want to get all the individual figures.
Yeah.
Who wants a snaggletooth? Who wants a hammerhead? Who wants a boring
Wow.
cantina alien? You know what I mean? So it just had everything, and it was part of you growing up. It's part of you growing
Yeah.
up. It's the toys were there. No internet bollocks. It was they were there. They were in
Yeah.
front of you on the shelves, lines of them.
Yeah.
And I wish
Well,
for
that's
God's
it. I
sake,
mean, because you said about the Tesco's being near where you are. We had one where we were, or where we are. And I still remember to the day you could walk in, you go upstairs and stuff like that, and they got the toy section, and it was just aisles of Star Wars. It really was,
yeah.
and you could get any figure. There was, hardly ever any slight shortages or stuff like that.
No,
Or
no, that's right.
there
And
weren't
I'm lucky
people
enough.
bloody.
And I'm lucky enough to have a photograph of Christmas Day, so I can. It's I can't remember this. It was a bounty hunter offer sticker, so you can almost pinpoint the year based on that. So they were selling some really quite rare figures that you get now that you'd have to pay
Yeah,
a few thousand for that were there. So, and yeah, sorry, go back to Toys Against You. I
that's all right,
remember
not a problem.
getting the AT-AT for Christmas, and it was like this big, and then
Yeah,
going in Tesco's, like, what are these die cast ships you can get? And like the snow speeder was this big, and
yeah,
I'm thinking the man's little orange man. What am I going to do? Because they never had a big snow speeder, so I was like, what am I going to do? I just thought, bollocks to it. I'll just get a couple of those, and that's my battle.
yeah,
But they were completely out of scale, and for many a year,
yeah,
I was like, why is this so small? Why is this diecast speeder so small? But that was part of the joy of it, and
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Would you say it was the toys and the toy lines and the figures and the vehicles that stood out for you more than the movies themselves?
I think they took over, for me. I think they did. They did, because I was such a I just like. I mean, we used to camp out. We used to have a caravan down the coast, and um, when you walk in a caravan, it rocks a little bit, doesn't it? You walk around, and I
Yeah.
remember lining hundreds of soldiers up, and then the nan or the grandad or the mum and dad would step around, and they'd all fall over and going absolutely mad. And so I just wanted to collect soldiers and build armies. So I think it was, for me, the toys, which is probably why I'm in this den of stuff now,
Oh, don't
because
complain about it. It's awesome.
because that's where I am now. But I love toys again. I love any 80s toys. I've got an 80s section over there, and I've got loads of Matchbox Matchbox kits,
Yeah.
soldiers, Zoids, Transformers, Britain Space, Panini stickers, everything you can think of. And I
Mm.
just love that, Scalextric sets. I bought a Matchbox Scalextric sets last week on eBay. I was like, what am I doing here? But it hadn't come yet. But I'm like, because because it was in the background of one of my pictures of Christmas Day. So I had a Slave
Oh,
One
okay.
snow
Yeah.
speeder in the
Yeah.
background. There's a Scalextric set. And I'm like, yeah, I need that as well, because I had that as a kid. And it won't be long, and I'll join Adam and buy Toy Dude and buy a bloody Rally Burner or something like that.
Oh, crikey.
Because
Yeah,
I
blimey.
had
Yeah,
that
yeah.
sort of stuff as well, mate. So, but it was always Star Wars for 6 years, 5 years took over my life, and it was a
Yeah.
massive passion of mine.
Yeah,
Massive. And
it's made a massive impact. I can tell, obviously, because of your collection and stuff like that. But I can hear the passion that you're talking about it as well. And I mean, that's quite infectious. You know what I mean? It's I love the fact that people are excited and passionate about the franchise. Whether it's the toys or the films themselves. I mean, there's lots of great things you can take away from the movies. The original trilogies. I'm guessing more, and the prequels. You got the character development. I mean, these characters you can not so like relate to, but you can kind of relate to them. Everybody wanted to be like Princess Leia. Everybody wanted to be as cool as Han Solo. And then everybody wanted to be Anakin and something like that when they were, when the prequels come out and what have you. But then again, you've got the music as well, the John Williams music, the score. I mean, just incredible. I mean, even that what's it called? Was it Battle of the Heroes in episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, when Obi-Wan and Anakin are facing off? Just insane. And
Yeah,
Then they put
brilliant.
in a bit of Duel of Fates when the Emperor was fighting with Yoda and dueling with Yoda, and it
Yeah,
just
I think
Star
I
Wars
think
for me done.
anyone who hasn't watched the Clone Wars
Yeah,
is
again,
is
Clone
missing
Wars.
out. I mean, both the cartoon and the animated. You need to pick that up. And I'm telling everybody
Yeah,
out there, watch it because it
yeah.
just links everything up.
Well, I
Um,
saw your episode of For the Love of Star Wars, that Gengi Tartakovsky one where Anakin's facing Asajj on Yavin. That when you said that lightsaber scene and the rain just
yeah,
I mean that I
amazing.
never noticed that to start with, but then when they put the clip in that video, I was like, that is just who would have thought of that for an animated TV series?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just,
yeah, yeah,
awesome.
yeah. And I watched. I did a video on the toys from from that cartoon series, and
Yeah,
I was one of my earlier videos, and YouTube for whatever reason wouldn't let me download a lot of the videos of the cartoon series. But I went through that series about 4 times, just cutting and animating stuff. And there are some incredible scenes from that cartoon series.
yeah.
Absolutely
The
unbelievable. The battle.
Tartakovsky one.
Oh yeah, it's like
Yeah.
absolutely. And if they could produce something like that, and it would be amazing. The scale of it was absolutely
But
brilliant.
here's a question for you then, because for me, the Clone Wars, the animated series, Dave Filoni, that made me appreciate the prequels a lot more. And it made me understand characters like Dooku and Grievous because it went deep into their backstories and stuff like that. So you learned a lot more about them.
Yeah.
If they can do that for an animated series like the Clone Wars, like Gengi Tartakovsky's Clone Wars, why can't they get it right and do it like that in live action? I mean, they have done with a couple of them, but not all of them.
No, that's a great Stu. I wish I could answer that. It's a great question. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know because it's just character building, isn't it? And
Yeah,
it's not. It can't be that difficult. They've done, like you say, they've done it in that genre. So I don't know, but yeah, I totally agree with you, and I ain't got the answer. I wish I was a producer and I was high up at Disney and I was helping them out.
yeah,
But you'd think they'd go out and go, right, let's randomly pick 10 Star Wars fans of a certain criteria. Let's listen to what they got to say. But I don't know. I just hope going forward they suddenly go, oh yeah, right. Because they're quite quick to cancel something. They've cancelled the Acolyte, which I was
yeah,
you're going to hate this. I was disappointed on because I wanted to see where it was going. And I thought I'll give you your grace period. You've tried to set up a few characters. Um, you've brought back characters that should be dead, which really peed me off. Aki Mundi was one. I mean, how ridiculous is that? He's dead. And it made me look stupid because I did a video a week before. Who should be?
Oh,
Who
what,
should?
Friday, Monday? No, this was
Yeah,
before,
sorry.
wasn't
Yeah,
it?
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, so
In the Acolyte.
this is before, yeah.
Yeah, so he shouldn't be alive. He should be. He's not even born. I don't think, or whatever. And
Yeah,
I done a video saying who should be on it. And I thought, you're joking. You've just brought him in. You just put him in.
yeah,
And they missed so many opportunities. Why didn't you give us another Jedi that should be around?
yeah.
Why didn't they have a bit more Yoda rather than just at the end you see a shot of him?
Did we need Yoda? Did we need him?
No, we not really. It's too late by then.
Because
It's
for
too
me,
late.
for what that does when with them showing Yoda, it means that he could sense Anakin in Attack of the Clones slaughtering that tribe of Tusken Raiders. Yeah, the women and the children as well.
Yeah.
He can sense that. But you're telling me he couldn't sense those Jedi being wiped out by Khmer in the Acolyte. It just a lot of it doesn't make sense, and for reports are coming in as well that nearly cost $300 million. On what? Oh,
I mean, how much? I wonder how much that compares. I haven't looked. I could probably look it up. How much that compares to a feature film?
yeah.
I don't.
Well,
I don't know. I
it's
don't know.
just insane. It's insane.
I don't know. I mean, yeah.
No, I'm just gonna. Yeah, it is. It is mad. But just because I've got a few more questions. How important is story to you within the Star Wars universe?
Yeah, it's important. I I get blindsided by the visual effects in the battles. If I'm honest, Stu,
Yeah,
I don't get too hung up. I'm pretty jolly about it all. I'm not like oh my god, I didn't quite tie up. unless they bring a character back that shouldn't be there. It's important. I probably don't realize it's important when I'm watching it because I watch everything. You know, I'm just excited the next one to come along. I wish they bloody release them all at the same time. I think someone else said that on your videos. Just download them. We can just watch them, binge them, and then you get the whole effect. Waiting week by week when they're a little bit poor makes it worse. Because, you know, I think, but is it obviously it's important, Stu? But I'm a little bit blind to that. I just want the great characters in there and be surprised every now and again, if I'm honest.
No, fair play. How important do you think the older generation of Star Wars fans are to the Star Wars franchise?
Hugely important. I've got 5 kids and none of them can give a hoot about Star Wars. Which is for me in this house is really, really frustrating, disappointing. I think the older community is very important to the franchise, and that's my little worry. I don't know how much of the younger generation is into it. It's hard to gauge. I look at my YouTube analytics, or anal ticks as I call it, and you probably do. And you look at the age profile, looking at your channel.
Yeah,
it's 40 to 50. Not many youngsters watching it. Whether that will change and they'll come back into it, I don't know as they get older.
Why do you think that is then? Why is it that, because Star Wars made a massive impact on our generation? Why do you think it's not done the same for this generation?
I don't know. I mean, there's just so much bloody media out there, and they've got so much. They're just spending time doing everything else. You try to get a teenager to watch a feature film. I have to, some nights I said, my boy, Ethan, he's 60. I said, come watch a film with me, son. And he goes like, no, I've got to play FIFA or something. Well, I'll buy you I'll buy you some supper, mate, if you want. And well, yeah, and a £5, I'll sit with you. It's like, they just haven't got time they've got time to watch a film. It's like, oh, how long is it, Dad? Well, it's 2.5 hours. That's what it is normally. No, I'm not worth boring. It's just, you try to even get the teenager to watch a feature film. It's I mean, I don't know, but have you got kids, Stu? It's just,
yeah.
How old are your kids?
30, the eldest. He'll be 30 this year, and my daughter's 25.
Right, okay. But my youngest is 16, and he's the only kid we've got here. We've got 5, but he's just like, nah, no time for it. What are you gonna pay me, Dad, to watch it with you? Me and the missus went to watch Empire Strikes Back on Saturday, and that was bad enough bribing the wife, but she actually really enjoyed it. In fact, I've been called scruffy looking nerf herder 3 times this week. So
so she's really got into it then. Brilliant.
Oh yeah, she remembered a few of the insult lines.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the insult lines, members. Yeah, she's right on that. But you try getting, she actually enjoyed it. She came out and I go, do you like that? She goes, yeah. Oh God, I love the snow bit. I'm like, wow, yeah, I love that too. But the boy, getting him to watch it, it's like, no chance. But maybe
it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe when they're older, they'll go, oh, when I'm old and decrepit, they go, oh, my dad used to watch that a lot, and I love it. At the moment, I just get my chain pulled about what they're going to do with this lot when I'm gone. They love.
What do your kids think of your collection?
I don't really know. They pretend they're not really interested. The only time my youngest boy gets interested when I say that I bought that figure for that 10 years ago, now it's worth that. And he goes,
is his pick up today? So,
oh yeah, he's a bit of a businessman, a bit of an entrepreneurial type, a bit like me. That's the only really time. They're not really that interested. They never come in here looking around. Maybe when they've got kids, it'd be interesting. When they've got grandkids and what they're going to do with the kid, they're going to bring them around and have a look and stuff like that. I don't know, mate, but it's not interested at all, which is a shame because I see these guys doing you see the father and son videos on YouTube all the time, and I'm very envious. There's a couple you can mention that come on and the son's talking in the background. Yeah, Dad, I love this one, Dad, and he's going, yeah, great. I mean, although I will say, if my kids actually like my collection, I'd be in real trouble because it would be a lot bigger than this. Because no one's egging me on.
Oh really? Have they not contributed at all? Then is it just been all yourself that's been getting stuff? Did they not get?
Oh yeah, well, the wife buys me. Well, the wife used to buy me quite a bit for Christmas and stuff, and that's where I got the VC Death Star set and some of the bigger
Okay, yeah.
sets back in the day. But yeah, so the wife has a lot, but the kids don't really contribute a lot,
Wow.
to
If
gifts and
my
stuff.
dad had a room like that, you wouldn't get me out of it. I'd be like,
No,
"This is so
no,
cool." I
I know.
mean, wow. Do you know what I mean?
I
I
know.
would
I need to
love
go
it.
I need to go to an orphanage with a big banner saying I like Star Wars. Who wants to come around my house?
Yeah, yeah. I
I got
mean,
to be
bless
careful
him,
what I say there, Mike, but you know what I mean.
my dad's got like a little collection, and he's sort of like said he's put some shelves up in the spare room at their house and stuff like that. And I go in there every now and again and just look, and it just makes me smile because it's stuff that he likes. You know, he's got some Lord of the Rings figures, Aliens figures like that, and it's just, I just, it's nice. It's something that he
Yeah,
likes and stuff like that, and whatever.
yeah,
So
yeah.
if he had
I
a
mean,
collection like that, I'd be like, wow.
yeah, I know. I mean, my dad, he had a few collections. He used to collect these miniature alcoholic bottles, the miniatures you used to get.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
he had massive collection of that, and the first one of the early collections I had, he buys and sells tools, and I actually had a big collection of brass spirit levels, and you might know what the like proper old brass spirit levels, and I collected them,
Okay.
and I was always into hoarding the same thing lots of times, and I was watching the a long and long video tonight about their latest pickups.
Yeah,
And they said a good point. They said, when you get one of something, it's great. You get two of something, great. When you've got 6 or 7 lined up and they're all similar, they like all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is looking fabulous.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I think Adam had some droids tonight, and he said he's a good point. You made a really good point. There's about 6 to collect. I've got 3 of them. When you put all 3 or 4 of them in a line, all of a sudden you're talking on a different level, and you think this is brilliant. So I've got a lot of that in me. I think a lot of that
Yeah.
collecting thing in me.
Oh, it does look good. I mean, look, I've got my 40th anniversary Black Series Star Wars figures out, and they're all like next to each other, and it's just the card backs. There's a 6-inch version of the original 3 3/4 inch card backs, and they're just, oh yeah, love it. It just, they look
Yeah,
so cool, and when you get the
yeah.
complete set, it just really does make it look pretty cool.
But
So
I'm
happy
so
with
like
that.
you though in terms of rotating stuff as well.
Yeah,
I people, I put stuff on for sale because I have something for a little while and I go, I want something else now, and
yeah,
I don't get too attached to stuff. I rotate quite a lot.
yeah.
Um, and like you said earlier, well, just rotating it, making a new look. And I've been lucky enough in this room here, which is about 50 square meters. I'm lucky enough. I've extended 3 times, so every time I extend it, it's like that's like the best week of my life. Just like, oh my god, I can display
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
It's so addictive.
It is. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and to get all this area here, this is all new. These are all new shelves, and I actually for once got a professional in to put the shelves up.
Okay. What did they say about your collection then?
Well, is it yeah, they just think I'm nuts. Most of people, most of my mates. Now, to be honest, actually, a lot of people take the mickey. My workmates and my school, a lot of mates and my footballing friends and stuff. They take the mickey, but when they come in there, they all take a big inhale of breath, and it's always nice to see, and
Yeah,
the best experience you can have is when you say bring your kids over, and
yeah,
I always I've got a little pot of gifts that I give away when people come over, for the kids and stuff. And to see that's the best experience in the world. It makes it all worth. When you see a child come in here,
yeah,
you might have to put them in handcuffs so they can't touch anything.
yeah,
but when they actually see it, they just go, they don't speak. They just go like that, and you try
yeah,
to walk around and they're just like literally in a zombie state. It's brilliant. I love
yeah.
it. I love it. And
No, that's
I
cool.
always, I love showing people. I have Emma does Emma's nutting because she said, "Why you have these random strangers in your house?" I said, "Because I want to share my collection. I just want people to see it.
Random
I
strangers.
want to share it. It's no point being in here, and no one can see it." And I was a fool really because I toyed and toyed about doing YouTube videos for such a long time.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I'm
and I
glad you're
put
doing them now.
Yeah, cheers, mate. And I put a few feelers out, and it was bloody go for it. Um, and I've learned, you said as you know, it's a very steep learning curve, and
Yep.
I've got loads of things I could do better now, and I always mess up on the sound, and my sound's not great, and the bloody lighting's not very good, but I love it, and I know we're changing the subject a little bit here, Stu, but the community is absolutely frigging amazing, and there's so much
Yeah.
support. It's
Yeah.
like amazing, and I love it. And I answer every, like you probably do. I answer every comment, and I can't wait to answer a comment. And I'm so grateful people watching. You know, any love that I've missed from my kids not liking the collection has been well exceeded by
Yeah.
bringing strangers in here, and the
Yeah,
feedback
but
I've
then
had
that's
from,
again, but you say it's off topic. It's not, because it's all related to Star Wars. It's what
yeah,
it's doing for you. It's how it's impacted you. It's how it's
yeah,
impacting others. Other people might not have seen a collection like that. So they're coming into your place, seeing your collection and going, oh my God. And why? Because, as Des T says, because it's Star Wars. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
There's that love for it,
yeah.
that passion. So you're not going off topic at all. So
No, no,
it's all
no,
good,
no.
all good. But
Yeah.
I for one, I'm glad that you've done a channel, because then I get to see your collection. So it's all good. So I'm very happy about that. Moving on with the questions. How important are strong female characters within Star Wars?
I mean, yeah, very important. But listen, I'm not going to get all blibbing. You know, they feel that they've got to get every single type of person in a film and fit them in wherever they can. And I'm not going to be too bloody provocative here, but yeah, I love female characters in film. We had Princess Leia in the first ones. It's brilliant,
Yeah,
fabulous. Just do it, but don't try to shoehorn every possible. Oh, I don't want to say type because it's not the right word, but you know what I mean.
I
Don't
do. I do. Yeah,
just do it as you do it. Don't make a big thing out of it.
yeah,
And it doesn't even register me whether it's a male or female. It doesn't even, just carry on with it.
yeah.
You know, so I think they're very important. They're as equal as important as men in the films.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
I mean, we can roll off the list of like strong female characters: Bo-Katan, Cara Dune. I mean, Cara Dune, what a great character she was in The Mandalorian, and then they decided to get rid of her. It's
yeah, I know. I
frustrating.
know. I know. I
Um,
know.
yeah, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, no, I've got no problem with it. More the better. Just use a bit of equality, and don't try to do things you don't need to do. That's what I would say to, if you're
Yeah,
watching Mr. Producer or Mr. Director. So yeah.
yeah. And a similar sort of question: how important is it for Star Wars to be inclusive?
Yes, it's important. It's really important, but don't shoehorn when
Yeah,
you don't need to. Don't don't do it when you don't need to. And you know, you might cut this out, Stu, but
no, no,
it's let's just take a bit of a reality check and see the what the masses are like, and let's try to look after everybody, but don't go silly on it, because people realize they just don't like it. They think you're just trying to tick boxes, and I
yeah.
think people see through that sometimes, mate. And
Well,
I'm
people are
I'm
beginning to see through it. The people are beginning to see through it. I mean, take for example, Rogue One, probably the most diverse cast we've had. You had the guy who played Shrew Imwe, Baze Malbus. Then you had Diego Luna as Andor. You had a strong female lead with Felicity Jones as
yeah,
as Jen Erso. So it's not
yeah,
like it wasn't a diverse cast. It was
no,
perfectly put together, but no one
that was
made a big
perfect.
fuss about it. No one made a big deal about it because no one cares.
No,
It was Star Wars. It just all happened naturally. Just
yeah,
let it flow naturally and don't make it the, because I think if you're pushing that to the point of where, well, this is, we've got a diverse cast in it, we've got this, we've got a female lead in it, but like, I couldn't give a shit. Like, as long as the story's good, as long as it ties in well, as long as it's
yeah,
well written, lots of action, lightsaber scenes, cool spaceships, aliens, we're fine. Push the
yeah,
story, not the fact that you've got a female character
yeah,
or a diverse cast.
yeah,
But
absolutely. Yeah, I agree, mate. Totally agree. Yeah, yeah.
right, we've come to the top of the hour. I've got one more question for you. Overall, what makes Star Wars great?
I think it's got everything. And I said this before. It's a bit cheesy. It's got romance. It's got drama. It's got villains. It's got space battles. It's got everything I liked as a kid. It brings back so many memories as a kid, of running around a village with my Star Wars toys. Um, I just it's hard to put in words, Stu. It's just it's my life. It's my
Yeah.
life. It's just, you know, it's brilliant. And I want more and more and more. And it frightens the hell out of me the day that it stops. So yeah, bit cheesy that answer, but
No, it's not. And I like what
just
you said at the end there. It frightens you that it's going to stop. We don't want it to stop,
no.
right? We don't want it to fail. It will stop if it fails because, you
Mm,
know, Disney, Lucasfilm, whoever it is, they're not going to keep pumping 300 million into these TV series. They're not going to keep doing it if they're not going to get any return from it.
yeah.
That's why, for me, it's essential they get the right people in, people who care about Star Wars, people who know about Star Wars, that can be bothered to go through the archives of what's already been written before and do their homework. You know, I've always been taught, you know, from a young kid, fail to prepare, prepare to fail. And that's what they did with the Acolyte. I'm like, fair enough. Leslie Headland turned around and said, oh, I look back and stuff like that in the expanded universe. Wow, 1 or 2 bits. That's not enough to say to me that you're a true Star Wars fan. To get writers in that don't know anything about Star Wars to write your episodes is just wrong.
Stu, I know we haven't talked a lot about the Acolyte, but to keep swapping the characters over, they're good or they're evil.
Yeah.
It was a mess.
Yeah.
It was a mess. It's like 1 minute they're goody, they went bad, and they look the same. So you're thinking, Christ, what's going on here? And for anyone who's not really paying attention, like, you know, perhaps my wife, she's going, hold on a minute, what's she doing now? You know, and it's just over the top, but I don't know what they're trying to do. But
well,
you know,
again, it's a shame.
For an hour, yeah, couldn't we?
It's just, I was going to say it's a shame because no one wants to see it fail, and there was so much promise and not promise. Oh, what do you call it? Potential with the Acolyte.
Yes.
With the Acolyte. Anyway, we'll leave it there, and I think we've done quite well. We've not been too negative today, and you know, so I like that, and it's all been good. But Keith, that is the end of the conversation, mate. I've got to say, I've really enjoyed having you on the channel as part of the series. I've got to say, I love your channel. I love looking at your collection, and it's what you're doing is you know, you're doing a great job. So long may that continue, mate.
Thanks, mate. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it, mate.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. And for everybody who stayed to the end to watch or listen, a massive thank you. It does mean a lot. Take care, stay safe, and we shall see you in the next video. Bye for now.